Guys, it's Delty from DeltyIsGaming.com. Patch 1.6 notes are here, and as we speak, Shepard and I are downloading the client. Yeah, we're 26% done. Can't wait to get on and test. And I wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that I've noticed in patch 1.6 that might be useful for you to take a look at. First off, it's massive. You're talking like 67 pages full of information. I want to go over the highlights, each class, and maybe some weapons, ultimate, that type of thing, to get you what I think of the biggest changes in the game. Now, I won't officially know all this stuff until we play it, but let's get started. So the first part of the patch notes, I'm going to post this into the description of the video. You can also check it on my site, DeltyIsGaming.com. I have it there too. But the beginning part is really like the overall changes, what's coming in, the class balancing, the ultimates, that sort of thing. So you go through here and the justice system is in here. Now, the thing about the justice system, which is cool, is that it adds a skill line. However, they didn't describe anything in the skill line, so I'm going to try to get that on my site immediately. You go through, they even did a change to crouching stealthy. It's like a brand new game, dude. It really is. Keep going down, champion points are account wide. This stuff we kind of knew, so I'm not going to really highlight that too much. You keep going down, some of the cool things you can get for the champion points. Well, I think is really cool that you can earn more ultimate when you're below health. You can gain a damage shield when using a potion. Imagine an Argonian Nightblade with that. That would be awesome. So we keep going down, game rebalances. This is some big changes. First off, armor. This is a big change to armor. So now the weight of your armor actually determines how much benefit you get and how much mitigation. I really like that change. Some crit, that's going to be a big thing to discuss later. Ultimates and synergies have really changed. Remove diminishing returns from the game, period. Wow, that's huge. Now the Imperial race and the diminishing return removal, I'm really going to test this on my Imperial Templar and see how much it affects. AoE abilities can now hit up to 60 targets. Holy Steel Tornado. That's amazing. So that's going to change PvP dramatically. It will change everything in the game dramatically. Another change. When you damage an enemy with a lighter or heavy attack, you will receive a buff. Grants 3 ultimates per second for 8 seconds. So, from now on, ultimates and getting ultimates is way different in the game. So you have to generate ultimate differently. Now you're going to have to weave in light attacks, even tanking or heavy attacks here and there. That's going to fundamentally change the game. I can see PvP opening up a whole new realm now where people are weaving in light attacks, blocking, they get stunned in between their weave. It'll become crazy to see what PvP is like now. Keep going down. They recategorize all these buffs. I'm trying to get a list of them right now. Which skills use which buffs, but there's some new terminology. Apparently you can have both the minor and major, but you can't have like 2 majors, 2 minors, that type of thing. So they just kind of call these buffs differently. So physical resistance, spell resistance, healing debuffs, all that sort of thing. So I'll have more on that later. Animations, the animation provisioning revamp. Most of that we already knew. I didn't think anything game breaking here. Collection systems coming out. That's fantastic. Crown Store money. Great, great, great. Trials leaderboard. That's fundamentally changes. So now your trials and that sort of thing will be based off of points, like killing mobs and that sort of thing. Champion points, known issues section. Alliance War changes, art and animations, audio. This is mainly some of the stuff that we already knew. But now we're getting the meat and potatoes. Healing debuffs for meat catapults can no longer stack. Thank you, God. I think big changes in Cyrodiil PvP. The Dragonknight. What happened with the Dragonknight? Dragonknight standard, it seems like it got nerfed hard. Now the ultimate's harder to get. It got updated to 250, reduces the ability range synergy by 2.5, and it scales off your maximum magic. The shifting standard costs 200 ultimate. So I see that as a big nerf to the standard. People just dodge roll out of it anyways, so I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal. This is a really cool change, Fiery Grip. The ability now grants you empowering for 5 seconds. The coolest thing is, if you're unable to pull a target, like let's say it's CCable, it's unCCable, you go to them. So it's like a magic cost type of leap, if you will. So you're either going to pull them or you're going to go to them. Now, you're not going to be able to use this like everywhere you want, pulling targets here and there and then leaping to them. It could get you in a lot of bad situations, but it could be a game changer. Searing Strikes, these are hitting a little bit harder. Lava Whip. The big, huge new ability called Inferno, this sounds cool. It's toggled on and off, no more area damage, but it fires projectile at targets within 15 meters. That's cool. And the major prophecy buffs. This is like the new Mage Light for Dragonknights only. I love that. So you got Flames of Oblivion, same thing. But the huge change, the Glorified Gaming I think told me about, is Dragon Leap. So number one, they reduced the ultimate cost. Take Flight reduces the ultimate cost ability to 110, increases the damage. Okay. Furious Leap. Or Ferocious? Ferocious. There we go. The ability now applies a damage shield equal to your maximum health. Dude, imagine a low cost bubble that's equal to your health on an Imperial Dragonknight. If this sticks, this might be game breaking alone. This right here. I mean, that's 125 ultimates to get that. With the Blunt Spawn set, I plan to test this extensively. Those are the big changes I think out of the Dragonknight specifically. You have reflective scales. We already knew about this, which it's no longer going to reflect infinite numbers, but more 4 projectiles. Great change. That's super overpowered. Now increases the damage dealt of Inhale by 30%. I think it's going to hit like a truck. Keep going. Molten Weapons will now be basically an execute. So now you'll be able to do more damage against lower targets. So Dragonknights now have an execute. Ash Cloud got nerfed pretty hard. It's now a ground targetable ability, but it gives a snare, but it doesn't affect mischance anymore. We'll see how that works. Earth and Heart. Now the Sorc. Big changes with the Sorc. The pet classes really got an update, but I wasn't too impressed with them. What I was impressed with is this charge synergy now. Both you and the person get a major Berserker buff. That's going to be huge in the future. So you're going to want to hit those synergies right away. Also does a lot more damage. That's great. Daedric Curse does a lot more damage. And they did say that pets will crit now, lower in the patch notes. So pets are going to do a lot more damage. Not only because they actually up the damage, but now they can crit, and it's based off your crit. It's going to be big. And plus they take a lot less damage. So you have this. I can't wait to test the pets and see if they're viable. Bound Armor now is an ability based off of your max magic. And then I think there's a morph for stamina, Bound Armaments. So we'll see how that works. Crystal Shards gets a couple repeats, but I want to go down here. Oh, Dark Deal. The ability now converts magic into health and stamina. That's pretty interesting. But Negate, look at this. Absorption Field. Negate was already powerful in PvP, but now allies who pass through the field gain major expedition faster. You have more magic. You have more health. It's just, now you're going to want to put a Negate on your own party half the time. I think that's a big, big change if it sticks. A couple other things. Lightning Form, Lightning Splash. They upped the damage of Lightning Splash initial hit by 94%. It might hit really hard. We don't know. Surge. This is what we needed to know. So it now applies the Major Brutality and Sorc buff. So like Crit Surge. But Crit Surge here has a 1 second cooldown on the heal. So instead of infinitely getting tons of heals, how many you crit, now you're getting basically 1 a second. I don't know how this is going to work. I think it's a good change because Impenetrable Gear now will reduce your damage taken from crits, so you still will crit most people probably. We don't know what the threshold is, but this might be a huge change in PvP. It might be really good, might be really bad. We just need to test it out. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, when we had the viewing party, a lot of people in chat thought the Nightblade's got a major nerf. So you guys tell me. I play a Nightblade, but it's not my main. Assassin's Killer Blade, this ability heals you if it applies. They also said that the Assassin's abilities, I think, will go off of stamina, I think. So I'm not going to quote me on that. But Teleporting Strike, so Ambush. Ambush now uses stamina instead of magic. And Minor Berserk, which is essentially like 8% more damage in the next attack. That's a pretty big nerf to an Ambush, which is your main opener as a Nightblade. So don't know how I feel about that. Mark Target got a buff. It removes the penalty of this ability. So now when you mark a target, it's not going to screw you over as much. And then it costs 50% less. I really think the sniper type mark target ability will be good. Really cool ability. I haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait. It's Grim Focus. This ability has replaced haste, so no more stamina, which is a problem. But all weapon attacks do more damage for 20 seconds. And after you reach 8 charges, like basically 8 light and heavy attacks, you'll turn into a super powerful ability that allows you to fire a spectral projectile at your target dealing damage. That sounds really cool, but we don't know if it's really that valuable or not. Consuming Darkness took a big hit, Veil of Blades, so you're no longer able to get additional damage reduction for the caster, so you're only going to get the 30 that the rest of the group does. That's a pretty big nerf. Shadow Cloak, they got a little different here. I think the major underdog ability is the Path of Darkness, which is essentially increases the damage ability by 33% and increases the healing. So I think that's going to be a big damage boost AoE ability. So we'll have to see how that works. So you're going to get 50% from the dot. You can either take 1 or 2 morphs. I think the healing one might be really nice. The 2 really cool utility abilities got a buff. So got less cost for Mass Hysteria. Now you affect 3 targets. They're feared for 3 seconds. They're slowed, and I think they deal less damage. So that's a pretty good change. Summon Shade, the shadowy image, if you watch my video on using it, is really fun. Now it's going to deal 4% maximum of your magic damage, so that's a pretty good amount of damage. And also, you don't have to, when you cast it again, there's no cost associated with it. Moving on. And this is just the highlights, guys, so don't think I haven't covered everything. There's so much to get over here. I want to get to the really important parts. Templar's got some decent damage buffs. Increases the single target bonus damage by 60% and reduces the cost. Oh my god, you're going to see a lot of jabbers out there just, And then biting jabs is off of stamina and weapon power. So that's a really interesting change. Another one is Spear Shards. You basically can't infinitely stun someone with Blazing Spear, I think is what that means. But that's a good change. A Sun Shield, basically the only thing with Blazing Shield is it costs a little bit more. So I really still think it's a strong shield for the Templar. Nova, the one morph that most people didn't use, now increases the damage dealt by 17%. That's a lot. So we'll have to see how that works. Increases the damage dealt by Sunfire and its morphs by 30%. And while the while the target is affected by this, you gain basically 8% spell crit. So I can see using Vampire's Bane now on a target and keeping that Vampire's Bane up so you get the spell crit. I really think the single target damage might be pretty good. Backlash, I didn't really use this ability much. I know some of you others that are really hardcore Templars might know what this means, but they told me it was good. I don't really want to give an opinion since I don't know about it. Radiant Destruction. This is the new ability that replaced the Blinding Light, which is a 3-second, basically channel finisher. The cool morph that I want to try out is the ability heals caster for 20% of the damage. So that's going to be really cool. And the other Radiant Suppression is going to be really cool to try to see how much damage you can really dish out with this thing and what the cost is. Can't wait to get in there and test. Looks like we're at 72%, so I better hurry up with this video. Okay, keep going. Rune Focus, Adric Spear, a couple passive change. Okay, so two-hand. I gotta tell you about this. Dual Wield. Look at this ability. They remove sparks. Blade Cloak. Okay, Blade Cloak reduces area effect damage by 20% for 15 seconds. And you do damage while taking damage in there. It fires every 2 seconds. Oh my god, dude, that's crazy. Everyone's going to be dual wield, especially in PvP. Or you can get this other buff that gets you more speed. This is amazing bonus. I can't wait to see this. Now, they did reduce the fury damage, so you can't just sit there and spam rapid strikes till your fingers bleed. So I'm sure you guys, some of you hate that. I don't know. Destructive Touch got a buff. We'll have to see what it looks like in the tooltips. A couple other important things I want to get to. Looks like Dawnbreaker got a buff, and Silver Bolts basically hits a lot less harder, but the proc to like instantly kill someone is a lot more frequent. They still didn't get rid of frickin' Trap Beasts. I hate that. Meteor. This morph looks amazing now. Reduces the cost 200. Does full damage, knocking them down, leaving a 10-second stun or a 10-second dot essentially in the area. This is going to be cool. I can't wait to see what this does. So we got some of those other changes. Ultimates. Now, Undaunted. I wanted to get to this. Inner Fire. The range is increased. You can morph it to basically go off of stamina. But look, doubles the base damage of it and it instantly procs. Imagine using this in PvP. Just sitting there shooting Inner Fires left and right at 28-meter range. That is going to be a huge change. Werewolf and a couple vampire changes. You take less damage from fire. I don't think that was needed, but okay. Now you can break CC off that stupid streaming troll thing that you guys like to do when I'm streaming. Stun me and I can't break it. The heavy armor, I can't wait to see that. Alliance changes. Rapid maneuver can now be used while on your horse. That's cool. So I think movement's really going to get a buff. There's just so much to go over here. I could sit and talk to you all day about this, but I'm just about ready to test this. Some of the other pets, I wanted to get to the pets. Here we go. Pets now take 90% less damage from AoEs and up to 50% less damage, and they crit. And they no longer reduce your magic. So we got to see if that Sorc pet thing is really worth it. Crafting, I mean, there's just so much changes, especially with the dungeons and trials, Sanctum Ophidia. Master weapons, they did fix some of the stamina master weapons, give you more health and stamina traits. I wanted to get impenetrable and show you guys that. So let me... Penetrable. I can't spell. That's great. I can't spell. I'm an idiot. Crafting. Okay. Dungeons, banished cells. We don't really need to know about dungeons at the moment. What we need to know about is the gear changes. Come on, scroll, baby. Aha. Okay, so some gear changes. Basically, Bloodspawn is stayed the same. I see this being the most important PvP set now. Since you're doing damage or procs ultimate, that's really the only reliable way to get ultimate. I see that being a huge change. Now, the traits. Basically, I wanted to show you what happened with Impenetrable. You can still be affected by crits. So I gotta show you guys this before I log off. Where is that trait? Oh, okay. So precise weapons that have a lower required level in the player scales off of that. Critical hits still do 1.5 or 50% damage, and you will now have a base critical hit. Okay. The amount of critical resistance required to completely eliminate the unmodified damage bonus from critical hits. So here's some math for you guys, but essentially, critical resistance, Impenetrable, now reduces the bonus damage caused by critical hits. With enough, you can reduce it to 0. So, we need to see what that really looks like in person before we do any judgment. But overall, real quick, I see the Dragonknight being amazing. The Nightblade, Templar being very good, and the Sorcs, we're just going to have to see. With those changes, I can't wait to dive in here, change some builds, and get them out to you guys. What am I at percentage-wise? Oh my God, 78% to jump into the PTS. So I can't wait to test it, get out some new builds to you guys. Make sure to check my website for all the latest breaking skills and that sort of thing. And thank you for watching.